Hi guys, and guess what? I have got issue 3 of GoClassics Magazine. This is out now. Go and get it. If you can't find it in the shops, it should be available in most big newsagent outlets and stuff like that. But if you can't get it, head over to goclassics.co.uk where you can order both the print copy and the digital copy. So you can get it straight away and read it on your phone, your tablet, whatever. So there you go. That's issue 3. That's the new one. And I've made it to the cover. I only realized this last night when I was having a very close look at the cover, because I've had this for a few days and I've been reading through it. And last night I was looking at the cover. I was going, that picture looks a bit familiar to me. I was like, hang on, that looks quite familiar. And I looked at it really closely, and you won't be able to make it out. I'll put a screen grab there. But it turns out that's me driving that from way back in the time. Quite a few years back actually, when those were still new. So that's me in that car. So there you go. I've made it onto the cover, as well as obviously in the magazine as well. So great content in this one. As you can see, a real emphasis on American cars as well. So there's a big feature in here. So I'll go through some of the features and stuff that we've got in the magazine. A few interesting things. Did you know that Volvo is famed for its stance on safety? But when its first car was actually driven off the production line in 1927, it crashed. And why did it crash? Well, you'll have to read that to find out. That's in the first part of the magazine. And here there's loads of interesting stuff, including, how to take apart ownership of a classic car, stuff about the MOT certificate, also the fueling confusion about the E10 fuel. This is incredible. Check this out. A Triumph TRA with delivery miles. With delivery miles from 1980, Triumph TRA, delivery miles 1980, but it is rusted, man. This thing needs a lot of work, and it's a shame because it's only done 73 miles. That's going up for auction. Find out all about that. Information here. This is really quick. 100 seconds, everything you need to know about the Jensen Healy. A friend of mine has got one of these in Dubai and is actually working on it. Check out Muslim Mobiles. I'll put the link below or whatever. And on his Instagram page, and he's got one, and he's trying to figure out what to do with it, whether to turn it into a resto mod or whether to restore it. Knowing him, I suspect he's going to turn it into a resto mod or perhaps even electrify it, because he's done that in the past. He is extremely innovative. Here's events coverage, which is fantastic. I've been out to a lot of events myself over the summer, and as a reflection of that, check out my column in this month's issue, and it's all about events. And there you go, there's like loads of pictures from events, including some of them with me in it, and shout outs to several people here. The gentleman with the Invictus. This is the Baja Bug, the globe-trotting Baja Bug. Then you've got the Aston Martin Bulldog, and then you've got the Outlaw Lancia Aurelia. And I'll put a video up of that on this channel very soon, so stand by for that. And of course, the Cosmotron and the Reliant Robin that thinks it's the DMC DeLorean. Bit of controversy over that one since I saw it at the motor show, so apparently there's a lawsuit and stuff, but so I won't go into that too much now. Then there's a buying guide on the MG FMGTF. A friend of mine would have wished that he had seen that a few weeks ago. Oh, nothing wrong with the car that he's bought, but I mean, he's just bought one, so that would have been handy. But there you go, loads and loads of information there on MG F, what to look out for, what to do. There's a column here by Angie Velluti, and on the basis of reading this column, you don't want to be lending her your car. Let's just say that. Let's just say that and leave it at that. But lots of great stories about Alfa Romeos, and because she used to be PR for Alfa Romeo and stuff like that, and how she's eyeing up something as her next car, which is not Italian at all. There you go. There you go. Check it out. This is the third part of Jeff Bailey's continuing adventures and revelations and recollections on owning, well over 100 cars. And it kicks off with two absolute beauties. First of all, 325i Sport. Kudos for that one. I mean, those are rocketing up in value right now. So he bought it for $13,250 in January 1990. It's an 87 car. And of course, those are now worth about £40,000-50,000. And then the other one, which of course, again, well, I mean, to be fair, he paid £53,000 for it in 1989. Look at that. That is a 1989 911 SSE Targa And to me, that's what a 911 should look like. That to me is a 911. When I think 911, I think that's perfect. That is a template for 911. More amazing cars he's owned: Overfinch Range Rover, Austin Allegro Estate. Really, Jeff? But he's owned. But to be fair, like Peugeot 205 GTI 1.6 he's had, 7 Series, which he's still got that one. Another 325i convertible. So like me, he's a fan of the E30. I miss my old E30. TVR Griffith. Oh my God. And a 348 Ferrari. Another TVR. Man, this is great stuff. You got to read through this, including a very yellow Golf Cabriolet. So there's another one. Bentley Brooklands, Rolls Royce. Oh my goodness. There's tons of stuff there. And Simeon Cattle is now in the magazine. So if you're catching up with the content on this video channel, or on the GoClassics video channel, I should say, then you will see that we did a podcast. Our last podcast featured Simeon. A great podcast. Make sure you've listened to it. And here he's now doing a column. So basically he runs a restoration and repair shop, focusing on classics. And he talks about, how difficult it can be sometimes to get the parts. But not just to get the parts, but once you've ordered the parts, you never quite know what's going to turn up. And you'll have to read this to see the sort of stories he's got to tell. But it's quite interesting. Relative values, your particular dream car. So this is about the cars that were related to more popular models, but you could buy instead. So, there's some interesting cars there, but I'll tell you, one car that caught my eye. I would go for this, but except for the fact, there you go, it's the Caterham 21. So slightly more spacious and more comfortable than the Caterham 7, but pretty much a Caterham 7 underneath. And not bad looking little thing, but unfortunately only less than 50 were made, so there's not many around. But there are other things like the XK8 instead of a DB7, stuff like that. So there's lots of amazing things that you should look at. So alternatives. A good yank. Okay. Buying an American classic. So this is everything that you need to know. Where do you buy them? How do you buy them? I think even stuff like importing them. There's experiences dealing with the natives, shipping it, type approval, where you can get spares and specialist servicing and stuff like that, how to register it. All of that is covered in this feature, which is well worth doing, well worth looking at if you're thinking of getting an American car, which honestly I would consider it. And their top choices here, they've got for cars that you should think about getting: Chevrolet Corvette, the Ford Mustang, particularly classic ones, Chevrolet pickups, Cadillac Escalade, Lincoln Continental. 2 of these Jeff has owned. So there you go. Or is it 3? Maybe. At least 2 anyway. Then you've got a Triumph Stag buying guide, pretty much, isn't it? So this is basically all the information that you need to get yourself a Triumph Stag, including the GoClassics view. But there's also setting right the myths about Triumph Stag. So these are all the sort of things that people have said about them. So this is actually Peter Robinson, who's the registrar and honorary vice president of the Stag Owners Club. And he says that after 50 years of pub talk, it's time to put the record straight. So there you go. So if you're into Triumph Stags, if you're thinking of getting one, if you've got one, you definitely need to pick up this issue of GoClassics Magazine. Then you got Coupe Court, and these are classic coupes. And there's lots of great coupes. I was never a fan of the Vauxhall Calibra or Opel Calibra dynamically, but what a pretty car that was. That, I think of its time, that, and then the one featured at the end of this, which is here, the Peugeot 406 Coupe. That was like a mini Ferrari. It's so beautiful. It was just such beautiful cars. And then you've got things like Preludes. You think of Rover 200. Might still be a few of those around, and that wasn't bad. Audi TT, definitely worth looking at. As Simeon mentioned in the podcast, it's his pick for a future classic, and they are quite cheap now. And we're talking about the first generation cars. The first generation ones are the ones to get. And other ones you may have forgotten, things like the Volkswagen Scirocco, the Ford Probe or Ford Cougar, Mazda RX-8. So there's loads of stuff here that you want to think about. That's a great feature if you're interested in coupes. We need to bring back coupes. Manufacturers need to bring back coupes. I know that for them financially, in terms of sales and marketing, they often don't think those cars to be viable. But I think it's time to bring them back, because I think as more and more people are getting into cars and they want to express their identity and who they are through their cars, and coupes do that. Coupes do that a lot. Then you've got the Morris Minor, and this is actually a feature that goes back and looks at the original press. This is a regular feature in the mag, original press around a certain car. So this time the Morris Minor, initially apparently really well received, and later on there were a few criticisms. So if you want to find out what people thought of the Morris Minor at the time, check it out, and you will read that there, and what the reviews said and what the journalists said at the time. Then you got, if you want a car that is linked to Grand Prix racing and Formula One racing, what cars could you get? Or indeed any kind of racing. And then, so there are obvious choices like the Mini, Brabham, Viva. That's an unusual one, isn't it? You got the Rover 200 BRM. You got Jordan Civic. Do you remember that one? I remember that one. So quite a few choices in there. That's worth checking out. Clear Williams, of course. There you go. So it's by inference. One of my favorite cars of all time, definitely Honda S2000. Honda's 50th birthday present to themselves, and what a present! I mean, and the thing is, like, if you don't get this car, even if you've driven it and you don't get this car, it just means you haven't driven it properly, because it's just like all VTEC engines. If you haven't revved it all the way around, you're never going to get this car. You're never going to understand it. But once you do that and you get it, you're hooked. And I've driven loads of these over the years, and every time I drive one, I'm like, damn, I should get one. And if you want to get one, this is what you need. You need this month's issue of the magazine, because it has got a guide in it. Then you got one of my favorite features, which is ModInTheMark, and this time they're looking at the Healy 100. A friend of mine has a Healy, and maybe he should be looking at this. I think he probably does know all of these things already, I should imagine. But anyway, these are the things that you can do to improve the car. How you can update it, how you can improve it, what modifications you can make, how can you mend it, but how can you modify it to make it even better. And I think I do subscribe to the idea of improving classic cars. Why not? I mean, unless you want to keep something pure and original for the sake of value, but if you want to enjoy something, why not improve it? Morgan, and this is a discussion about the Morgan, the four-cylinder Morgan. I agree. I found myself becoming a big fan of Morgans a few years ago when I reviewed a couple of them, and I first drove the V6 Roadster, which had the Mustang V6 in it, which I thought was amazing. I totally fell in love with it. And then I drove the four-cylinder one, and I thought that was actually even better. Even though, it didn't have the power, but I just felt that it was better balanced. It just felt right for that car. So it was actually even better as a four-cylinder car. So there you go. There's a discussion on the Morgan. So that's worth getting. Got Z-List Celebrity. Basically, this looks at all the Z cars that MG Rover put out just towards the end, the last few years, while it was still around, while the MG Rover was still around. And there were some great cars. I mean, the ZR, ZS, there was certain Honda influence in these cars as well, so that made them better. And of course the ZT. And of course there was a rear-wheel drive ZT as well, wasn't there? But that was, or was it called a ZT? I don't know. And continuing on, here's the Onus feature. So they always have an owner with their car. And in this case, it's Derek Hawkins, who bought this Ford Capri 1300 GT 40 years ago for £100. Guess how much it's worth now? Oh, I'm not going to tell you, you have to get the mag, but I was like, whoa, I said, forget investing in houses, just buy old Capris, or maybe go back in a time machine and buy them. But he's done rather well, but anyway, the good for him, that's fantastic. Then you got, this is a feature on the Rapier, not a car I know much about actually. I need to have I haven't read this one yet, I might read that one later, because I didn't really know much about it. Interesting looking car, that. Then you got the Weakest Links, nothing to do with Anne Robinson. This is basically about how timing belts you should look after, and I tell you what, I've had 2 experiences in my car ownership where I should have didn't get around to changing the timing belt soon enough. Anyway, so yeah, you want to read that. Then you've got Jeff's column on insurance and the sort of crazy modification. We were just talking about modification, but the crazy modifications that people make to resto mod their cars and how they plan to get away with them, insurance companies. So don't try and pull the wool over their eyes. There's a feature on Simeon Cattle's garage, which is Project Classics Project Shop, the Classic Project Shop. So check that. I need to go up there actually. It looks fantastic. I need to go and pay him a visit. That looks amazing. New columnist, Get Carter, and this is classic car specialist Barry. He became the oldest boy racer in Yuppie when he recently bought a Rover BRM. Oh, okay. There's Barry Carter. So so he is going to be writing about I haven't read this one yet, but I think it's going to be more motorsports related, it seems like. So that should be good. So another great columnist to join the team. And then you've got Car Court, which is always there at the end of the magazine. And in this case, we've got the editor, Alan Anderson, and editor-at-large Jeff Bailey arguing about Volvo estate cars, specifically the 145 estate. How can you go wrong with the Volvo estate? They are absolutely awesome. And I can't wait to see next month's issue because there's a cover preview there. Wow, looks brilliant already. Prestige for pennies. Wow, there you go. There it is. Check it out. Head over to goclassics.co.uk. You can get a copy, print and digital there. And of course, subscribe to this and all the social media channels, and keep following us for more. A big thank you to my top tier patron and sponsor, Jay Williams over Air Technic. Check out their shop for brakes, exhaust, body kits, and of course, suspension. Plus, thanks to Muhammad Ali Ahmed and Tom Conway Gordon, who are both tier 4 patrons, and of course all of these guys for also subscribing to my Patreon account and contributing so much towards helping me to continue creating this content. Join them over at patreon.com/browncarguy, and of course make sure that you are subscribing, liking and sharing this channel. Hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any of my videos, and also check out browncarguy.com and follow me on all social media channels. Just search for my hashtag, which of course is #BrownCarGuy.